All right, welcome everyone, and we have William Murray this morning coming in for our Infragard editorial, and Bill will be talking about PCI. So, Bill, why don't you take it away? Go ahead.
Good morning. The payment card system is fundamentally broken. In addition to all of the implementation errors that exist in it, it relies upon a technology, mag, stripe, and pin, that was never intended for and is insecure for this application. Mag, stripe, and pin served us well for 2 generations. For the application and environment for which they were originally intended, that is ATMs. That is, they served well for trusted devices and private networks. They were never expected to be secure from untrusted devices over public networks. Both mag, stripe, and pin are fundamentally vulnerable to replay. ATMs were trusted to resist the replay. Even in the ATM application, the security of mag, stripe, and pin is being stressed by the proliferation of third-party ATMs, the use of the internet for connection, the use of Windows as the operating system for the ATMs, and skimmer attacks. Mag, stripe, and pin are clearly insecure for payments, point-of-sale payments. Not only can one buy one's own point-of-sale device, one can download a free application to one's iPhone to turn it into a point-of-sale device. Rogue point-of-sale devices are common, not to say ubiquitous. Of course, there are compensating controls in the system. The most important one of those is whoops.
You good?
Wait a minute. Give me a second. I lost my script. There we go. Even in ATM applications, the security mag, stripe, and pin are being stressed. They're clearly insecure for payments. Not only can one buy one's own point-of-sale device, one can download a free application to one's iPhone. Of course, there are compensating controls in the system, the most important one being the ability of customers to recognize, report, and repudiate fraudulent transactions. However, this control operates late and only after damage has been done. The damage is simply priced into the cost of doing business. It is passed along by the card issuers to the merchants and ultimately to the consumer. Not only does it raise the cost of doing business, but it damages necessary public trust and confidence in the system. We need only look to nuclear power to understand that if we lose public trust and confidence in a technology, it may take us generations to restore it. Another compensating control is the payment card industry data security standards. These standards were originally intended to patch holes in merchant application and environments that were leaking data. The original idea was that compliant merchants might receive lower rates to compensate for the cost of compliance. What has actually happened is that compliance has become contractually mandatory, and non-compliance may result in financial and other penalties. One payment card industry service provider, Card Systems, was forced out of business because both MasterCard and American Express refused to do business with them. The cost to merchants of demonstrating compliance with DSS, even if one is already compliant, has proved to be high. A whole industry has been spawned to measure compliance and report on it. However, from its inception, DSS was never intended to be more than a band-aid. It was a top 10 approach, intended to fix those things that seem to be contributing most to the problems in the application and environment from the issuer's point of view. It was never intended to make the merchant secure in any sense of that word. A merchant may be fully compliant without being secure. All merchants may be fully compliant, while the consumers will still be vulnerable to replay attacks. Of course, the card issuers understand that the technology for resisting replay attacks at the system is smart cards. They've known it for a long time, at least 20 years. They even have a standard, EMV, Eurocard, MasterCard, and Visa for smart cards. For online card-not-present transactions, it is tokens or out-of-band authentication. The consumer can download a soft token to one's iPhone or BlackBerry. Online merchants can download the complementary server software. Visa and MasterCard both have out-of-band solutions, verified by Visa and MasterCard Secure Code, that they have seriously failed to promote or support. Some banks have implemented out-of-band solutions that rely upon text message to the cell phone, offered by Verizon Business, among others. When Sears rolled out the Discover card some 30 years ago, I tried to get them to use their clout to force the industry to smart cards. Not only did they not want to incur the cost, but they wanted to exploit the existing infrastructure. Rather than go out and have merchant agreements with all of the merchants the way American Express and Visa and MasterCard had originally done, they wanted to rely upon payment card service providers. They didn't want to deal directly with the merchants. The issuers have moved to smart cards in Europe, at least in part because of government pressure, and in spite of the fact that in Europe it is much harder for a consumer to repudiate a charge. There's less risk to MasterCard and Visa and Eurocard in Europe than there is here. It seems clear that they are not going to move to these technologies of their own volition. It will require pressure, perhaps even legislation, to force them to do it. In the meantime, small business is in a bind. It is now impossible to be in business in America and not accept cards. There are obvious security advantages to small business not to accept cash or checks. On the other hand, the industry is pushing more and more of the cost of this broken system onto the small merchants. If they cannot opt out, they should push back. Consumers should never use PINs at untrusted devices. They should prefer ATMs on bank premises. They should prefer ATMs that bring the card in rather than those where they simply swipe through. When using a non-bank ATM, they should always ensure that it can at least recognize a bad PIN before giving a good one. They should take advantage of online banking to reconcile their transactions once or twice a week. All that said, this is an industry problem, a payment card industry problem, not a government problem, not a merchant problem, and not a consumer problem. While we can protect ourselves from the vulnerabilities in this system to some degree, we should not have to. It's time for Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and yes, even Discover to step up and to do the right thing. See you next week.
Hey, Bill, before you go, John's got a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill. Now we all know that one of the big problems with credit card system or credit card fraud is that a lot of the cost of the fraud, or almost all of the cost of the fraud, is pushed on the small merchant. If a merchant has used a fraudulent card or accepted a fraudulent card, the cost of that merchandise that's been taken is actually paid for by the merchant, not by the card distributor. I think my feeling is that until that changes, there's no motivation for the card distributors to become better compliant with PCI.
Yeah, and that's in large part what I'm talking about when I say the merchants need to push back. The merchants have been all too compliant in this. Of course, the little merchants don't have very much clout in this situation. For example, they don't sit on the PCI advisory board. Walmart, on the other hand, with the clout that Sears had 30 years ago, Walmart could push back very easily. Walmart, even if Walmart were to step up and decide to put in smart card readers, as has done McDonald's and CVS and a few other nationwide merchants, there would be more motivation for the merchants or for the card issuers to replace the mag stripe and pin with smart cards.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bill. I certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to you coming on next week as well. Bye now.
Bye.